All right. What the heliante is up, twin? Long time no see. We have an interesting one today. Yeah. Also, check the fit. You feel me? We got black slacks. I don't know if you can see them, but there's some dress shoes. Goodwill. We got the long sleeve. I'm gonna say it's knitted because it sounds cool if I said knitted long sleeve. We got the gray beater. We got a belt. Whole fit from Goodwill. Probably like 15, 20 bucks. You feel me? Something slight. Check me out. Anyways, short story short, the topic of this video, so I was actually in my bathroom the other day. Pause. I went to the bathroom the other day. And like I would just look at the just show up for people. Just show up for someone today. I had read it out loud and I was like, just show up for someone. Or just show up for someone today. Just show up for yourself. And then boom, I was like, that struck me. Just show up for yourself. That's this video. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wrote it on my board correctly, so that's all. And then I literally wrote it down as soon as I said it out loud. And then I was like, that's gonna be the next video. To my friends, I told y'all this was gonna be posted a couple days ago. It's not a couple days ago. And it was originally gonna be, the idea that I had was everything happens for a reason, but that's obviously not what this video is about. So just show up for yourself. What does that look like? I don't know. Because like I said, this idea struck me kind of just out the blue one day. I don't know where. We have different seating arrangements. I'm sitting on this little shelf thing. Mainly because I have my shoes on and I don't feel like hopping on my bed. So we're sitting on this thing. Show up for yourself. What does that look like? The immediate thought that I had that came to mind was like obviously doing things for yourself, but I feel like showing up for yourself, it's not as simple as that. I feel like it's like hardcore committing to doing something for yourself, right? So the example that I made that initially came to my mind was like running, right? I like going on runs because it makes me feel good, makes me like physically feel good, mentally feel good. Whatever things I'm going through, I can think about it on the run. I talk to myself like on the run or like when I walk for a little bit, and it just like I can sit there and like think and ponder like where I'm at right now in life, how I want to be in life, and then I can like hardcore like commit and thinking about those little things and essentially showing up for myself on a greater surface than like it is just like if I'm in my room journaling or something like that, right? But then the other example that I had that I felt really made a lot of sense is crying, right? And now you might be like, what the hell is this fool talking about, right? Now, stick with me here. So if you watch The Fascination, or the strange obsession we have with music, if you watch that video, which you should, I talked about how, short story short, I had talked about how over the summer I had reposted it was like you in your uniform, right? I'm a track athlete. I posted that, and I posted Loaded by Lil Uzi, and that song brought me like tears because it just like my brain remembered like, hey bro, when we were in middle school, Love Is Rage 2 was our album, right? So stick with me here. So like I said in that video, I cried, but then what did I do? I went on a walk and I listened to the whole entire album start to finish, to sit there and embrace and bask in those emotions, right? To like let my emotions like truly sink in. Somebody's doing laundry. I saw it out the window. Anyways, but I feel like that's an example of showing up for yourself, right? And what I mean is like with the crying example, it's like first off, I don't think people cry enough, twin. And like you may be watching this and be like, nigga, I cry all the time. Kudos to you. I think you should cry. I think it's great. It's like a relief. Unless you're like one of those people who like cries when you can't find your other shoe and you really wanted to wear it because you had a fire fit. I don't know. Point being, right? The example with crying, right? I feel not a lot of people want to cry. I'm not saying you should want to cry, but it's like if you feel it, twin, just let it out, bro. But because I'm kind of getting like sidetracked, right? It's like the example that I'm trying to make is Like a lot of people, they don't really cry, and if they do, they don't want to show it, or they just want to hide it, or they don't even want to like talk about it, right? And I feel like in the context of showing up for yourself, when you do cry, I think you should commit to that cry, bro. Like like I said with the music video, right? I understood that hey, this song is giving me callbacks to like my mind's remembering things that it hasn't remembered in a long time, right? And the way that I showed up for myself was not only did I cry, but I committed to it. I embraced the cry, and I showed up for myself by listening to the whole album, and I showed up for myself by sitting in all of those emotions and letting my brain just do its thing, right? And I feel like with the crying example, that's what I was gonna get. I feel like with that, that's how you can show up for yourself. Let's say, yeah, you had a bad day and you cried, cool, but it was for like 5 minutes. Twin, cry for like 15. Sit in those emotions, bro. Figure out why it is you feeling this way. Like, show up for yourself. Like, cry more. I'm not trying to make this not what this video is about. Or, hello? That's not what this video is about. But, like, I hope this is making sense so far. I'm not too sure. Again, this idea literally came to me in like a 2-second thought, and I was like, this is gonna be the next video, right? But it's like the example with crying. I feel that if you sit there and cry and you give yourself like 5 minutes, you're like, all right, I'm done. You might not have like gave yourself the time to sit there and actually like understand why I'm crying. You know what I mean? Or like, it's just like if you cry for 5 minutes, right? Let's say it's like something serious. You're actually like pressure going through something, right? Like the way that you can show up for yourself is just by embracing it. Like just let all of those emotions just flow. Let everything come out of your system, and then you'll feel like, at least how I think, I feel that you'll just feel tremendously better because you showed up for yourself. You understood that hey, you're kind of sad and you cried a little bit, but you showed up for yourself in the sense of you did something else to help yourself to just let your emotions flow that much better. I think that makes sense. So why I was gonna try to ask like a third person question, I don't know, but I feel like I think that like a way you can think about it is like you obviously do things for yourself, duh. So it's like myself, for example. Actually, yeah, myself, for example. Today's Thursday? Today's Thursday. Tuesday, correct, because I worked yesterday. Tuesday, I was just thinking to myself, and then I had noticed that I didn't have class. So I was like, you know what, let me go on a run, right? So I ended up doing 5 miles, not consistent. I ran 4 and walked 1. But I set a new 5K PR. I don't even actually run like that for real. Or like, I just run to just stay healthy. I'm obviously in track, but whatever. My phone told me that I set a new 5K. 28 minutes and like under 30 seconds. I don't know. I also Googled right after average time. Male average is like 30 minutes. So I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I did faster than the average guys. I don't run. Anyways, because I'm gonna like, I could make that a whole separate side rant. My remote just fell. Anyways, point being, like, I sat there. At first, I just ran because one, I wanted to feel good. I wanted to just let my mind wander. I wanted to do cardio. I know it would just help my mental, right? That's the first part of doing something for myself, right? But where it shifts and showing up for yourself, like, was like, so I got done, I think it was like mile 3 to 4 was when I walked. Yes, because I'm thinking about how the trail is set up. Anyways, mile 3 to mile 4, that was where I walked, right? And it started as I did something for myself because I wanted to, right? Which was the running, right? And then I don't even know if this makes sense, but the difference was when I showed up for myself, like you know how it's like, okay, hold on, here we go. I think this is gonna make sense. So it's like, let's say you have a friend who's going through something, right? And typically you're gonna be there for your friend because that may look like just listening to them, just hanging out with them. You're gonna be there for them, right? But I think the difference when you show up for them is it's like you try to maybe help them, but not even help them. It's like you're like I feel like it's you're just being there for them, but it's like times two, times three. I don't even know if that makes sense, right? So it's like I said, your friend's going through something, like you just hang out with them, you just talk to them because you're being there for them, right? But I feel like when you truly show up for them, it's like, hey, you understand that they're sad. Okay, cool. Let's talk about why you're sad. You're taking that extra step to maybe like not understand, but to like maybe resonate with them. You know what I mean? So it's like I said, they're sad. Opposed to it's like, hey man, I'm sorry you're feeling bad. Hey man, why are you sad? Like, let's talk about it. You may not want to talk about it, and we don't have to talk about it. But I'm trying to show up for you and maybe help you at least grasp a better understanding of your emotions pertaining to why you're sad, right? So I hope that made sense. So going back to my running example from Tuesday, mile 3 to 4 was when I walked, right? And again, it started off as I did something for myself, which was cardio, right? And then I showed up for myself by from mile 3 to mile 4. I just walked, right? But I was talking to myself the whole entire time. I took out my AirPods, I put them in the case, and then I just sat there. I was just walking, and I was just talking out loud. I was questioning myself, kind of questioning where my mental's at, where I want to be at, things that have happened to me over the summer, and how I want those to affect me in the future, going on forward. And it was just like, I just took that extra step to where I did something for myself, which was the run, because I knew that my mental was kind of off and I wanted to do something, right? But then I showed up for myself by when I started walking. I was sitting there out loud, hey B, I understand that my mental is off. Let's talk about why. Let's try to fix our mental right now, which is like, I feel it's taking that extra step in showing up for yourself. I don't know how much sense this makes, but I really hope it does. Because it's like, I was just sitting there, I was just walking, and I'm just like talking out loud. I'm trying to grasp the bigger picture. I'm trying to like figure out like I said, my mental is off, but I'm trying to show up for myself in a sense of, okay, twin, why is your mental really off? How have you been carrying yourself these last X amount of weeks? How did you carry yourself when you were in this position last year? How did you carry yourself in the summer? I feel like it's just really taking that extra step in whatever it is you're doing, right? So why do I think you should show up for yourself? I mean, there's like, I feel like as an individual, you don't, this isn't a, I feel, no, this is the truth. Truthfully, it's kind of hard to like self-analyze, right? And like it is, or it's easy to self-analyze, but I feel like it's also kind of hard, right? Because when you self-analyze, at least I'm just gonna say without a therapist or without some sort of like cognitive understanding or understanding of psychology to a degree, a lot of things will get lost in translation. Meaning that like you may question yourself and you may ask X, Y, and Z, but because you don't understand like the big picture of how things really work, you might just convince yourself whatever the hell you said to your questions, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like that's doing things for yourself, but like I feel like it's just hard sometimes because like life is first person, right? And I was talking to my roommate about this the other day because he was asking me some stuff. Like, life is first person, right? You will never be able to, I mean, you can, like, hypothetically, after this, I can watch the video. It'll technically be third person because I'm watching myself from an outside angle that isn't just my eyes, right? But, point being, we can't see our life in third person. We can't hop in, like, you know, when COD, when you die and you're at the you're watching your teammate spectate, you can't press triangle and see third person point of view. No, it's solely first. And I feel that like because we're always in first person, we just don't understand as I feel like we just ask a lot of questions, but it's like we don't understand that, hey, you're in first person all the time. You know what I mean? So like My roommate, for example. If you're watching this, sorry, twin, but I love you, cuz. But again, I'm not gonna talk deeply about it because it's me. And we also had like a 2 hour long talk the other day. You know what I mean? But it's like he in short, he was kind of telling me that like his mental's off, and we were just talking about like certain things and how his mental's been, and how he carries himself and things he does for other people, right? And I think that it's like the way that all of it gets lost in translation is the simple fact that you can't see yourself in third person, right? And it's one of those that's like when they're showing up for yourself, how to tie this in, is I feel like sometimes you might have to like recognize what you. Oh, never mind. He just came in. I thought somebody was knocking on the door. Anyways, I feel that like how it ties in with showing up for yourself is you gotta give yourself some slack too. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. Going now that I'm saying it out loud. You gotta give yourself some slack. You know what I mean? It's like we're already sitting here, maybe progressively trying to think about the future or trying to think about the present and this and that and the third, and it's like you do things. Selfless. I think that's the word. You do things for yourself. I don't know if selfless is the right word. I'm just trying to sound smart. Sorry, I'm looking at time. Damn. Dude, I'm freaking hungry too. I'm sorry. That's total stupid information, but I'm really hungry. I was gonna make food earlier, but I don't really got no food, and I don't feel like cooking. Anyways. I don't know where I was gonna go with that, but like, alright, I think it's good to do things for yourself, but I think it's also like, the difference with, at least what makes sense to me, is when you show up for yourself, is you just simply take that extra step to maybe just understand a little bit more. You know what I mean? So it's like, another example that I'll use, my hair. Right now, it's orange. Around this time last year, probably like about a month ago, like this time last year, whatever, that was when I dyed it for the first time, right? Short story short, went paintballing. I didn't really think, hey, the paint is probably just gonna wash out your hair. So I was like, I'm gonna need to dye my hair because now I have yellow spots. I don't know what my logic was, but that was actually my logic. I got shot in the head, boom, I have a spot of yellow, damn, I gotta dye my hair. I really didn't think that, hey, it's probably gonna wash out, right? Point being, so like I said in other videos, I'm very spontaneous. I'm not the most serious person in the room. I can be serious when I need to be, but like part of who I am and part of my character is just being unserious, being goofy, making people feel happy, feel loved, feel appreciated, and also just like being there for others, but also just being very, very goofy and unserious. That's like one of my biggest traits. Is I think a lot of people need to be just more goofy and not take themselves so seriously, right? So with that, something that I did for myself was I dyed my hair and I went red because I was like, hey, I don't know if it's gonna come out, but anyways, I dyed it red. I went red, right? And I did that in part because I obviously didn't know, but then I did something for myself in terms of, hey, this is another spontaneous thing, which I'm a spontaneous person, so it matched me. I did something for myself. But then I think how something like this gets different is showing up for myself as I like, since I've dyed it, like I've dyed it like 4 times. I lied, not 4, maybe like 3. I was red, I went purple. I've done purple twice? I don't remember. Anyways, like I did something for myself, which was dyeing my hair, right? And then the way that I showed up for myself was kind of like, I was sitting there kind of thinking about it, I'm like, twin, I really am this spontaneous person. I really am a guy who just dyed his hair for the sole purpose of, hey, I didn't think that it was finna wash out. A 2-second thought. That's literally all it was. But I sat there, like, it started off with something simple as, hey, I'm gonna dye my hair just because, right? But then I showed up for myself by just looking at the bigger picture. And I think that, I hope that makes sense. I showed up for myself by taking a step back, and I was like, hey, this is the bigger picture. Yes, your hair may be red because you thought it was cool, but hey, your hair is also red because you're this unserious guy. You're this spontaneous guy who just really doesn't think a lot of the time. It just like does something. But like, that's who I am. I showed up for myself, and I committed to embracing who I am, by embracing the fact that I'm spontaneous, and embracing the fact that I don't think a lot of the time, or think like logically, right? And I think it's like that's how you show up for yourself, is you have to take a step back in terms of what you're doing for yourself, and then the area where you show up for yourself is by looking at the bigger picture. I hope that makes sense, right? So it's like I said with the running example. I did something for myself, which was running, right? And then I showed up for myself by taking a step back and thinking about, okay, why am I on this run right now? What's the bigger picture of me running? And then that's when I sat there and I started talking to myself and started thinking out loud and kind of just understanding the bigger picture. I showed up for myself by just taking a step back and just looking at the broad overview, right? And I think that be honestly, and it's so, I really hate to say it because I feel like I say it all the time. I don't know if I say it in videos or if I'm talking to friends or if it's just a reoccurring thought that I have. I truly feel that because of how society is, it's like this. It's so fast paced. It's so quick. It's this to that to this to that to I just did this, now I have to go do that, but then I'm gonna hop on my phone real quick and then I'm gonna study and then I'm gonna hop back on my phone and then I have class. It's just so fast paced, and I feel that like we get lost in not doing things for ourselves all the time. Literally, a couple weeks ago, I was talking to one of my friends. She was talking about wanting to dye her hair, and I'm like, do it. Don't think about it. Just if you want to dye your hair, just dye your hair, twin. Like, it's as simple as that. I'm gonna be biased due to obvious reasons, but it was one of those. I'm just like, she said she wanted to dye her hair. She wanted to do something for herself. So I'm like, do it. Don't think about it, because the more you think about it, the longer you're not gonna do it, because the more you think about it, the more you're going to start thinking about everything else in life. You're going to start getting caught up in everything else you have going on, whether it's class or whether it's your friends or if it's a relationship or your cats or your car. Like, it all starts off with doing something simple for yourself. And in her case, something simple like dyeing her hair. I told her, I was like, just do it. I don't know if she would have felt better. I was telling her she was. But I'm like, I feel like when you show up for yourself, it's you're recognizing, like you're just recognizing the bigger picture. Like you see what you're doing, but then you just like, I hope this is making sense. This was a video that like when I was thinking about it, because I try not to think too much about these because I feel like it makes the product a lot worse. I don't know, that's just a personal opinion, but. And this is a video that, like I said, when I was thinking about it, I give myself like 5 minutes. I'm like, cuz, what the hell am I going to say? But I kind of got lost in translation there. But I really feel like when you show up for yourself, it's doing something that you want to do because you want to do it. But then you show up by taking that big step back and just looking at the bigger picture. Like, what am I gaining from this maybe? Or just like, I feel like when you show up for yourself is you just try to understand more. Like the example that I made with your friend who may be sad. Like you're being there for a friend by hanging out with them, spending time with them, whatever. But you show up for them by taking a step back, recognizing that, hey, their mental may be off, their mood may be off, they're not at the best place in life, and you step back and you see all those things, and then you show up for them by just talking about those things. Hey man, I see that your mental's off. Let's talk about it. Hey man, I see that you're stressed. What's up? Let's not get stressed. Hey man, you got car issues. How can I help with your car issues? Or like, all right, cool. I'm finna be a mechanic. I'm finna learn. Like, I really feel like it's taking a step back and just looking at the big picture, but then recognizing each of the tiny things in the big picture and diving specifically into every single one of those tiny things. I really hope that made sense, because I don't know where that came from. But I feel like that's how you show up for yourself. Or, like, I was going to say for others, but this isn't about others. This is showing up for yourself, not about others, right? So it's like, maybe like I'm a big advocate of like just doing something spontaneous, bro. I really am, and it's a lot easier for me to say that because spontaneousness is kind of just in my personality, but it's not the point. I just think, like, I really think you, whoever the hell you are, whether you gang, whether you my roommate, whether my mom's watching this, hi mom, I don't know, whoever's watching this, you do something for yourself, whatever it may be, whether it's going on a run because you like running, or going to the gym because you like exercising, or reading because you like to read, or journaling because you like to journal, playing the game, whatever it is that you like to do to make yourself happy, do that, right? But then maybe like just try to take a step back. Not physically, but mentally take a step back and look at the bigger picture of, okay, I am reading this book. How can I show up for myself when it comes to this book? And I could sit here and say, like, obviously take notes, but I feel like a lot of people take notes when they read. I take notes when I read. Time out. Right here, good read, twin. Good read. Let me put you on game. This right here, Laws of Human Nature. Let me put you on game, twin. This right here is a cardio cheat code. I go run and I listen to this. I need to read it also. I've read it. You can't really see. Well, I'm only chapter 2. I can't get cap, but it's something like I like thinking about how I've done that before, right? The way I did something for myself, which was reading, right? I started reading because I wanted to read. I want to become a better human being. I want to understand people more, and I want to just spread love, positivity, happiness, right? That's something that I want to do. But the way that I showed up for myself, how I feel, at least what makes sense to me, is that I took a step back. I recognized, hey, it takes a lot of energy to be petty. It takes a lot of energy to be mean or to hold up frustration, right? And then how I showed up for myself is by running and reading, running and reading. The way that I showed up for myself is taking that extra step, which is going on a run and listening to the book and sitting there and like truly like thinking, okay, he just said this. Okay, who do I have a friend who's like this? Am I like this? What are scenarios where I've seen this type of action or behavior portrayed? Like, I feel it's just taking that extra step, because like I feel like showing up doing it for myself would be sitting down and reading and taking notes, right? But I think how you show up for yourself is you just like I said, you just step back and just look at the big picture and you just really really try to understand. Like I said, I wanted to get the book because I want to become a better person, right? For just because, right? But then how I showed up and how I took that extra step was by sitting there and just analyzing everything, like word for word, sentence for sentence. Why did he structure this sentence this way? How does this sentence tie into this one? Do I know a person who's like this? Am I the person who's like this? How can I fix my faults? But it's also like, I think now that I'm saying it out loud, I think that I showed up for myself in an additional way by doing it while I was running, right? I showed up because listening to music while running is stupidly easy. Listening to an audiobook while running, it's not that easy. I'm not even finna cap. Like the first 5 minutes of listening, I was like, bro, this is totally different than music. It really is. I'm listening to some stranger talk. I don't know who the hell he is. I ain't never heard nothing about him. I'm just listening to a guy yap right now, right? But I think that how that separates in showing up for myself was that I did something that was that much harder, but also for the sake of I literally just want to be the best human being possible. I want to understand, hey, what goes into happiness? I want to understand, hey, what goes into love and what goes into being a good person? What goes into human nature? You know what I mean? But I showed up for myself by taking that extra step, by doing it on a run. It's something that's already hard and a voluntary task, but I make it that much harder, and I showed up by changing how I normally run. You know what I mean? Opposed to like, if I did it for myself, I would just be running, listening to music because I wanted to do it. I took that +1 step back and I showed up for myself by seeing that I want to do good, but taking that extra mile in terms of, okay, let's change up something that I like and apply how I want to be better and mesh those two together, right? I like running. I want to be better by reading. Let's mesh those two together. Let's take that extra step and let's simply show up for myself, right? Yeah. I don't know how much sense I'm making if I'm like so serious. Like I said earlier, this video was kind of like a hard thought because I don't know how much I can talk about showing up for yourself. But I really do think, like, I really do feel that there's a difference in doing something for yourself because you want to, and taking that extra step and showing up for yourself. It's really like I said with the crying example, and that example really makes the most sense to me, right? Like, you do something for yourself, you cry because your emotions are all over the place and you just need to cry, right? You do that for yourself, but taking that extra step and showing up and trying to do, like, showing up for yourself just like you show up for a friend is by continuing to cry and by thinking on why the hell am I crying? Yeah, my day's bad, but why is my day bad? Is it because of the week that I've had? Like, stepping back and like, yes, I'm crying for this tiny thing, but then you show up for yourself by trying to understand why you're crying, what even led your emotions to get to crying in the first point. And let's say you're a person who doesn't cry a lot, then I feel like it really might be like something good if you showed up for yourself in that sense. Like, yes, I had a bad day and my teacher and this, that, so I want to cry, right? But what's my week been like? What's my month been like? How's my mental been throughout this whole month? Like, take that extra step back and show up for yourself in that regard. You know what I mean? I think that's what showing up for yourself can look like. And like I said, I don't know how much of this video has really made sense because it's just like, as a thinking out loud thought, showing up for yourself, it's like, it's just kind of hard to explain. You know what I mean? Because I'm sitting here saying do something for yourself, but then show up for yourself. And you could be like, okay, well, what the hell's the difference? And I can tell you that there really may not be. Like, you may be sitting here listening and you're like, okay, well, brother, I go running. I already understand what the bigger picture is. I show up for myself in that regard. Twin, there might be more to it. I don't know. I really don't know. But what truly makes a lot of sense to me, and what I hope that you can maybe think about, and I hope it makes sense to you, is recognizing the fault. Recognizing something that you want to do for yourself, and then when you show up for yourself, like you show up for the friend, it's by analyzing what it is that you're wanting to do and just looking at the broad overview of it, and like taking that step back and just like observing. Like, I think showing up for yourself could be like trying to put yourself in third person, right? Because now that I'm speaking out loud, I do remember how I talked about first and third person earlier, right? How your whole life's in first person, and it's kind of hard to like do things for yourself sometimes. I don't even know, but I do think that it really starts off with doing something because you want to, and then separating yourself and hopping into third person however the hell you can, consciously, subconsciously, I don't know, maybe you have a dream, I don't know, but it's like, I want to do this in first person, right? Okay, cool. Now let's look at the bigger picture. Let's hop in third person and let's try to make this that much better. And I think that's how you may show up for yourself. I really wish I would have said this earlier in the video because I feel like that just made a lot of sense. But yeah, I think that like a way that you just show up for yourself is you really do have to like take a step back and like look at yourself and be like, damn, what have I done? But like, but just in like the everything sense. I was gonna say in a broad sense, but like, no, I feel like in the everything sense. Okay, like what have I done today? What did I do yesterday? What am I gonna do tomorrow? How's my mental been? How have I carried myself? How have I talked to people? How have I spent my time? How have I don't know, clean my room? I don't know. I just really think it's doing something because you want to, and then just trying to create your own outside perspective, and then keep going off of that outside perspective, right? Yeah, I think that's how you show up for yourself. With that though, you thought I was gonna end it. It's like, with that though, I think that you should start like doing things you like to do again. And you might be watching this and you're like, buddy, I already do all those things. What the hell is this guy yapping about? But it's like, oh, let's say you like going to the gym. I don't know. Like, and you go to the gym all the time. Maybe you like to switch it up. I don't know where I was gonna go with that example. I actually lied. I lied. I don't know where I was gonna go with that example. I thought I was cooking. I don't think I was cooking that well. Fuck. But yeah, man. Showing up for yourself. Showing up for yourself. I really just, like, again, what makes sense to me, and I'm just one person, so I don't know how you think. You don't know how I think all the way. You obviously know how I think to a degree, but after this is done, I'm gonna end the video and I'm just gonna start thinking to myself, and you're not gonna know what I'm thinking, right? But I really just think that when you show up for yourself, it's just trying to take that extra step to achieve whatever it is you may want to achieve. Like, if you're trying to improve your mental, I think that you can show up for yourself and like journaling, right? Let's say like you journal because it makes you feel good, right? And then like I think that how you could show up for yourself is you go to your like what you've already written and then like expand off of that. Maybe whatever comes to your mind, like I'll just use days for example. Let's say I journaled on Monday, right? And I'll write Monday stuff down, whatever, cool. Tuesday comes. Instead of writing Tuesday's journal on how I felt and so on and so forth, I'd show up for myself and go back to Monday. And then I'd try to continue off of Monday while it's Tuesday. It's like taking that extra step, like just because. And it's just trying to do more. I don't even know how much sense I'm making right now, twin. But like I'm saying, like I'd go back into what I wrote on Monday because yes, I meant, or like we'll just use a week's passed by, right? And let's say like I journal Monday through Friday, cool. Next week comes. Instead of writing next Mondays, I'd continue off of previous Mondays, right? Meaning I would just try to like, okay, cool. This is how I felt this day. All right, cool. Well, let's like try to expand on how can I make these feelings that I've had better, right? Because it's like I feel like when you journal, you're acknowledging your feelings, but then let's say a week's passed by, like I said, and you journal again on those same feelings. I feel like you might be giving yourself a better understanding of those feelings. You're showing up for yourself in that regard, opposed to you're journaling because you want to. You're showing up for yourself by I need a smart word. Just like analyzing what you previously were. You're just like, you look back, hey, this is where I was. Okay, cool. Let's continue off of this for a little bit and try to make it better. Cool. And then I'll start the next journaling. So it's like week 1, regular journal. Week 2, you go back on all the previous days that you journaled and try to maybe expand off of those and better whatever it was that you were writing about at that time. And then week 3 is back to regular journaling. And then week 4, you analyze week 3's journaling and try to better off of that. And I feel like, and this would make sense to me and how I'm saying this out loud, is I feel like it should just scale. It should progressively get better, because I feel like what you do is if you journal like a week at a time and then you go back to it, then you're gonna give yourself this hard understanding of, okay, these were my emotions. This is what I did, and this is what caused me to feel and think and do certain things in this manner, right? And then like after a week, you just really understand it. You be like, damn, that is how my Monday went. Like, damn, I really did ignore that person on Monday. Or damn, I really wasn't nice to my professor on Monday also. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I feel like that's how you can show up for yourself, is by writing in first person. A week passes by, you hop into third person and you just look at it, but then you just journal off of it again, right? Yeah, twin. That's all I got. This video, I'm not gonna lie, it's taking a lot of brain power. With that though, oh damn, I didn't say it in the beginning. If you're here, you should write a thought-provoking comment below, and I can talk about it in a future video. I was supposed to say that in the very beginning. Okay. I mean, that just shows you, we straight to the point with these videos. We're not cutting corners, nothing. I don't know. Anyways, love you, twin. Hope you have a great day. Go do something for yourself, cuz.